So, as a young person, what do you think is more important, saving or investing? Like,
It's a great
there's
question.
like a big um, debate, you can say, in the
Yeah.
money or finance industry, and a lot of people have certain limited beliefs on each of these things. Some people say investing is good, some people say no, you could save,
Yeah.
and then people say that if you're just saving, you're just keeping money, and that money is not doing anything.
Right.
So does it even make sense? So how can you kind of like differentiate, and what should we go? Is there a particular route that we should follow?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. It's a really, really good question, especially for younger people. I think saving does play a role. Like you mentioned, the main thing you have to keep in mind with money in the bank is that it's not going to grow a whole lot. And the main risk there is inflation. Here in the United States, every year, the dollar loses about 2% of its value. And, different currencies vary in that. But just in general, inflation is a very real thing. And if you're thinking about putting all your money in the bank and then that's going to be enough, it's not, because you're losing out to that inflation. Things are going to continue to be more expensive over time, and $1,000 today is going to buy you less amounts of goods in 10 years. If you spend $1,000 in 10 years, so in order to combat that, you need to have growth in your money, in your capital. And the way you do that is by investing and participating in the capital markets, which are stocks and bonds, for example. That being said, I do think that it's important for people to have an appropriate level of savings. And by that, I would advise clients to have at least 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in an account that's dedicated to emergencies only. That's not money that you're investing. That's not money that you're taking for vacation. It's not for holidays. None of that. It's a true emergency savings account, because as we've seen, life happens, right? You may lose a job, or your car may need a repair. If you have a house, I mean, things come up in your house all the time that you need fixing, and that is a good source for that money. And also, if you do have some investing, let's say that the market takes a big dip and it's in a bad place and you don't want to sell investments at that point. Well, instead of being forced to do that, you already have this amount of money set away to the side that's dedicated for emergencies. So from a saving perspective, I think that setting up that emergency savings account is very crucial. But then above and beyond that, it is possible to have too much money in cash, which sounds like a good problem to have. But once you have that dedicated amount of savings and you're comfortable to start, actually investing, acquiring assets, that's when that comes into play. But I would prioritize the emergency savings first. That way you have that established, and then from that point on, that's covered. And now we can start focusing on building wealth, acquiring assets, buying stocks, bonds, etc.
Mhm. Right, right. I
Does that
think
make
that's
sense?
yeah, that makes complete sense. I think most people, I think, are a little bit scared about investments because they feel, what if that money goes? And they
Yeah.
don't understand the idea of like risk-free investment. I could say that, like, invest the amount which you are like ready to let go. If in case you lose that money, it won't matter to you that much, because people invest in properties or whichever investment they do, they don't
Sure.
have enough money in the bank or as a savings, or as you said, that emergency. So when
Right.
things go a little haywire in their life, they blame the investment. If I had not invested, or if this and that happened, because of that I'm not able to cope up with the right decisions or my current situations.
Sure.
But the fact of the matter is that savings and investments are two completely different things and can be kind of balanced together and
Yeah.
have to be treated in their own separate ways. Like for savings, you need to have a different mindset and different strategy. And for investing,
Absolutely.
it has to be a lot of research, talking to the right people, like really knowing your game and how, like, it's kind of like a gamble, but you have to know the rules of the game, the ins and outs, like playing chess at each and every move if you really want to win. And
Yeah.
if you really have that much money in handy, then you just kind of like put into it and then learn while you go about it.
Yeah, I think you said that very, very well.